bailed you out last week.
We ain't got no chicken for you.
News that your dad was in a gang.
Everybody do that. It ain't nothing specific. That's just what it is. That's what everybody was doing at that time, and that's what that's what my parents was into. But to them, that was moving away, because you don't got to deal with the location. Because once your head is out of that space, I guess you don't have to feel like you're a part of that no more.
Vince Staples is a well-known American rapper, songwriter, and actor who's managed to captivate audiences with his distinct style and thought-provoking lyrics. Known for his introspective storytelling and sharp social commentary, Vince has really carved out a unique space for himself in the world of hip-hop. But before his life was all about music, Vince had to navigate some pretty dark and rough patches. Born in Compton, Vince spent his early years there. He was the youngest of 5 siblings with an older brother and 3 older sisters. His early days in Compton were intense, to say the least. His family had ties to the Crips, and his dad was a full-fledged member, fully active in the streets. Growing up, Vince saw a lot of violence and chaos right at home. His parents would have these brutal fistfights, the cops were called on multiple occasions, and his dad got hauled off to jail more than once because of these altercations. In an interview, Vince talked about his dad's gang involvement. He said, quote, "Everybody did that. It ain't nothing specific, that's just what it is. That's what everybody was doing at that time, and that's what my parents were into, and they say it was different back then. No, it wasn't like it is now. Now, it's more like you get to pick and see it or whatnot. It's not really, oh, my daddy this, my daddy that. That's just what was in my house." When asked about his craziest experience growing up in such an environment, he shared a vivid memory.
News that your dad was in a gang.
Everybody do that. It ain't nothing specific. That's just what it is. That's what everybody was doing at that time, and that's what that's what my parents was into.
Quote, "My daddy and my mama were effing each other up. That was it. They used to fight through. Like, my mama was no little lady, she was tall and all that. I remember one Christmas my daddy did something crazy. He was off something and he threw the Christmas tree, and then my sister's boyfriend came and they were fighting, and it was wild. The police came. My 7-year-old sister snitched and called the police."
What do you think was like the craziest experience that you remember kind of growing up in that type of environment?
And I didn't really see much, and my daddy and my mama each other up. That was it. They used to fight.
Vince went on to describe the chaotic nature of his household, saying, quote, "They would be fighting. Like, it wasn't like Tina Turner. That's how it is in that environment. Like, my mama ain't no punk, my daddy ain't no punk. They ain't gonna be arguing back and forth. That's just what it is." Because of his dad's lifestyle, Vince's dad spent a lot of Vince's life in prison, which meant they didn't have much of a relationship since they couldn't spend much time together during Vince's formative years. Vince's mom, wanting to escape the relentless cycle of violence and high crime rates in Compton, decided to move the family to the north side of Long Beach in search of a better life. But she quickly found out that North Long Beach had its own set of problems, with plenty of crime and gang activity still making their presence felt. It was a tough environment, much like other high-profile areas in LA County. Vince Staples grew up playing sports and even played in Snoop Dogg's Long Beach U Football League.
That was bad. That shit saved a life. Orange County Junior All-American Football League was trash, bruh. That team taught us how to grow up. It was really trying to teach us structure and how to behave and get right.
But living in Long Beach as a kid had its downsides, influencing Vince in negative ways. The gang culture was rampant in his community, and by the time he was in middle school, Vince wanted to be a part of the streets. He ended up joining his local gang, the Naughty Nasty Crips, also known as the Two Ins. This set had other notable rappers like Joey Fats, OT Genesis, and the infamous hood hopper YB in the Mirror, who was known for switching from GD to Crip. Vince's path on the streets was dangerous. He started selling drugs, doing robberies, ditching school, basically everything that could land him in jail or worse, get him K-worded. His mom, seeing the potential for disaster, decided to send him to Atlanta to live with his older sister, hoping for a better life and more opportunities. She wanted to get him away from the chaos after seeing friends of his dying or going to jail. One particularly close friend, Jabari, who was just 15, was shot in 2008. This had a profound impact on Vince. In his own words, Vince has said he had so much pent-up anger that he joined the gang because he wanted to K-word people. He told The Guardian, quote, "I come from gang culture. I started gangbanging because I wanted to K-word people. I wanted to hurt people. There's no reason, it's a bloodthirst. The same reason people join the army, because they want to K-word people. A lion doesn't make an excuse to K anybody. He does it because he wants to. I definitely gave a ish about my life. I just didn't give a F about nobody else. Vince spent 6 months in Atlanta, but when he came back to Long Beach, things hadn't changed much for him. He was still getting kicked out of several schools and was deep into gang activities. He explained, quote, "If you live in Long Beach, gang members are going to be your friends regardless. You don't get sucked into being an American, for example, you live there. Gangs are just part of Southern Californian culture. They've been there since the late 1800s. The gang culture sets up the schooling, the Little League sports." Although Vince hasn't detailed the specific crimes he committed, they were serious enough that he eventually had to move from Long Beach to Orange County. In 2015, he reflected on this move, saying, quote, "I will live in Long Beach again, but right now I've done too much stuff. People don't forget when you've done things to hurt them." Vince eventually escaped his life as a Crip with the help of music. He expressed his gratitude saying, quote, "Coming from where I come from and what I was doing prior to music and what a lot of my family and friends are subjected to, I can only be grateful for music." Vince got into rapping when he met Dijon Lavish Samo and Chuck Woon along with his cousin Campbell Emerson. Lavish took Vince to Los Angeles where he met members of the Odd Future Collective including Sid the Kid, Mike G, and Earl Sweatshirt. Initially, Vince did not intend to become a rapper, but he made some guest appearances on their songs, most notably Epar, from Earl Sweatshirt's 2010 mixtape Earl. These experiences led him to pursue a career in rap. He released his debut mixtape Shine Cold Chain Volume 1 on December 30th, 2011 through applebird.com. In October 2012, he followed up with a collaborative mixtape with Michael Uzowuru titled Winter in Prague, produced entirely by Uzowuru. In 2012, Earl Sweatshirt returned from Samoa and reconnected with Vince, introducing him to rapper Mac Miller. In June 2013, Vince and Miller, under the alias Larry Fisherman, released a mixtape titled Stolen Youth featuring guest appearances from Miller, Ab Soul, Schoolboy Q, Dash, Hardo, and Vince's Cutthroat Boys co-member Joey Fats. After Stolen Youth dropped, Vince toured as a supporting act on Miller's Space Migration Tour. He also made 3 appearances on Earl's debut studio album, Doris, including the single Hive. And it was revealed in the liner notes that Vince had recently signed with Def Jam Records. On March 13th, 2014, Vince Staples dropped his 4th mixtape, Shine Cold Chain Volume 2. This was followed by a tour with Schoolboy Q, which helped Vince further establish his presence in the rap scene. Later that year, on October 7th, 2014, he released the EP Hell Can Wait, which continued to build his reputation. 2015 turned out to be a huge year for Vince. Not only did he land a sponsorship deal with Sprite, but he also appeared in the movie Dope alongside other famous rappers like A$AP Rocky. Around this time, Vince started to show off his comedic side, which fans quickly grew to love. His humor and personality added a new dimension to his public image. In June 2015, Vince was named one of the 10 rappers in XXL's 2015 freshman class, and he was featured on the cover with other up-and-coming artists like K-Camp, Shy Glizzy, and Fetty Wap. That same month, he released the album Summertime '06, which received positive reviews and solidified his place in the hip-hop world. On August 25th, 2016, Vince released his second EP, Prima Donna, a 7-track project accompanied by a short film. The next year, on February 3rd, 2017, he dropped Bag Back, the first single from his upcoming studio album. A remix of the song was later featured in a trailer for Marvel Studios' film Black Panther. 2017 saw the release of Vince's album Big Fish Theory, which was followed by 2 tours. Despite his busy schedule, Vince stayed connected to his community, donating money to programs and providing new equipment for kids in North Long Beach. In 2018, Vince released the album FM and took on voice roles in anime series and shows like American Dad. He also went on tours with Childish Gambino and Tyler the Creator. By the end of 2018, Vince decided to part ways with Def Jam and explore new opportunities. 2019 brought a role in the animated series Laser Wolf, where Vince voiced the character Laser Wolf for 2 seasons. In 2021, he returned to music with the self-titled album Vince Staples. Even though his music career was thriving, Vince's laid-back attitude towards fame meant that many people knew him more for his personality than his music. He followed up with another album in 2022, Ramona Park Broke My Heart, which received high praise and was released under Motown Records. Vince expanded his acting portfolio with roles in shows like Insecure and Abbott Elementary. and in movies like White Men Can't Jump. In addition to his acting and music, Vince has made appearances on several podcasts such as Back on Fig and the Joe Budden podcast. He has also collaborated with other rappers including Earl Sweatshirt. Vince's career has been successful in many different areas, music, acting, and beyond. He could have easily become a bigger star if he had pursued fame more aggressively. However, Vince has always preferred to do things his way, staying true to himself and avoiding the trappings of mainstream celebrity. Unlike other stars such as Drake, Lil Baby, and Tyler the Creator, who are always in the spotlight, Vince blends into the background and lets his work speak for itself. As Vince himself put it in a Zoom interview from his home in Long Beach, California, quote, "I blend into the background and I think there's a big misconception about artists that they can't. You can build your own world. I don't have to have security. I don't have to live in a gated community. I don't have to go to parties. I just create and I live within the world that I've always tried to create for myself. I appreciate being able to have that kind of reality." Vince Staples is no fan of the authorities. At the Reading Festival, he led the crowd in a chant of "F the police" with his arms waving like an emaciated Stretch Armstrong over a world-perfect mosh pit. Similar to Kendrick Lamar, who faced criticism for suggesting that the black community needed to improve itself in addition to addressing racist police, Vince argues that as someone who has been deemed a criminal in his life, I know why police are scared. He believes that the black community needs to, quote, broaden certain issues to make them more familiar to white people. Quote, "Do we want understanding or do we just want sympathy?" End quote. Vince also insists that police brutality isn't solely driven by race. Quote, "It's also a class thing. When it's time for it to really go down, the white boys from the black neighborhoods are black in the eyes of the aggressor. It's a clash of cultures. Money changes everything. I got pulled over without a driver's license the other day and they were like, 'Be safe, get home safe.' If I was in Long Beach, they'd have pulled me out of that ish and taken me to jail. You don't have to do anything to get to jail. When they want to pick you up and take you, you'll go." Vince speaks from experience, having been arrested before. Though he has not revealed the specifics of his arrest, he has shared an encounter with the cops. Quote, "That the arrest has happened before, so I'm not worried about it as much as I was the first time. It was just weird, man. There are a lot of experiences in the show that are derivative of actual life. Life is crazy, man," he told Vulture. In 2019, Vince celebrated no longer being on probation. He took to Twitter to express his joy, thanking several people along the way. Quote, "We finally got off probation and on the way to getting the whole shebang expunged, let the record reflect. I'm finna be jet setting, RIP Anthony Cordain," he tweeted. "I ain't been this excited since my dad put rims on the Maxima right after we beat the Mission Viejo Cowboys. Stay out the system, black people. Thank yous to Meek Mill, my mama, and the Crips for the motivation to escape," he continued. "Shout out Aha Man for squabbling up this charge for the last few years. You my Johnny Cochran, I love you. Shout out to the Compton sheriff who made me and the homie play rock, paper, scissors to see who was going to take the case. I love you too, even though you illegally searched and seized." The mention of Meek Mill refers to the Philadelphia rapper's very public crusade to improve the criminal justice system after he was infamously sentenced to 2 years in prison for violating probation nearly a decade prior. Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf showed his support for Meek by announcing a push for more judicial reform related to probation. Wolf referenced Meek's extended probation term, saying it was the source of the rapper's recent legal troubles. Meek Mill's probation term demonstrates PA's need for common sense criminal justice reform. Wolf wrote on Twitter, "He was under probation for 14 years and a wheelie out of state put him back in prison, costing taxpayers. I'm pushing for probation reform." Vince Staples also has strong opinions about fake gangsters. "It's the reason why people like Mission Impossible. There's something captivating about danger. But it's not fun when it's real. People die, bro. This kid got K-worded a week ago at a car wash and people were posting pictures on Twitter of his dead body. This kid I know died 6 days ago shooting a music video. He was from these places. It's not some issue sign up for." For Staples, he doesn't fit the mold of a pop star, academic, or thug. Quote, "I have to be a conscious rapper or a gangster rapper when I'm neither." He says, "None of that ish is real. It's just about music. It's like money. This piece of paper worth $20 and this one is worth $1. But it all started on the same blank sheet. It literally means nothing. So I'm not worried about hip-hop culture, I'm worried about people and where I come from. I don't really care to be a rapper, I'd rather just be myself." More recently, he has been developing his own show with Netflix, The Vince Staples Show, which offers a glimpse into the challenges of his life. The show has been well received and renewed for another season. The Vince Staples Show is often described as a symphony of normalized chaos. Imagine Vince playing a version of himself, battling an enraged gang of amusement park mascots, pulling a gun on someone just moments after being released from prison, and then going home to his girlfriend with the calm demeanor of a man who just ran a few errands. It's a show that's anything but typical. It doesn't rely on the usual formulaic TV tropes designed to guarantee success. Instead, the Vince Staples Show embraces an offbeat voice that's in perfect harmony with its unconventional world. In one scene, a father explains to his child that a shootout is just like grown-up laser tag, that they might play one day. Another scene, set in the middle of a bank robbery, delves into the racial implications of how we view criminals, comparing Queen Latifah in Set It Off to George Clooney in the Ocean's franchise. The show is not absurd just for the sake of shock value. It's shocking in a way that keeps you attentive to the lessons Vince haphazardly learns throughout the episodes. This is because the brainchild behind the show has lived a life so extraordinary that many wouldn't and didn't believe it. When Vince and his manager first pitched the show, people struggled to understand it. Vince told Men's Health that his manager often had to explain to executives how Vince would share stories from his life that left everyone with the same reaction. This is effing crazy, it makes no sense, but Vince would think it's completely normal. The Vince Staples Show defies easy categorization. What's the elevator pitch for a series where amusement park workers break down the power dynamics of racism in one episode, and in the next, Vince goes on a harrowing quest for fried chicken? To untangle the show, you must understand the man's twisted mind. Staples, a 90s baby raised in North Long Beach, processes things in a unique way, leading to his shockingly matter-of-fact views on extreme situations. According to Vince, every episode has things that are extremely familiar. Everything speaks to a situation in my life that I've dealt with. It speaks to the lessons that have been learned. In the pilot, the singing in the jail cell actually happened. The pink house is a real house. All those things are real, but I'm just putting them in the appropriate context where it can be open and people can feel like they've experienced it. Being able to broaden out these small stories is usually where the magic happens. He goes on to explain, quote, "An important part of film and television is to show, not say." That was something I really tried to do, just taking from a lot of great filmmakers and photographers in general, learning about the importance of composition. The shot of Vince and his friend in the bank having the conversation while looking small in the frame, with all the things happening in the background. Adopting more of an animation style was extremely important because everything has a message, but what's the message behind the message? And how do you not just say, this is about black existence? How do you just exist? Walking around, we don't say, hey, I'm black and alive. You just live. The other parts, even though they're the most important, are the ones that we tuck in the back the most. So I wanted the show to be parallel to that in a sense. When asked if there's a difference between Vince Staples, the rapper and now TV character, and Vincent Staples, the man, he thoughtfully responded, I wouldn't necessarily say that. But what I will say is people are a lot more nuanced than we give ourselves credit for. It's our job to explore that nuance and show the many sides of humanity, the many sides of creativity, the many sides of all these things we have in this thing called life. And that was pretty much the goal for what I was trying to do here. I was just trying to expand on things I've already expanded on, but just in a different manner. Vince Staples is truly an astonishing figure in the world of music and entertainment. His unique style, thought-provoking lyrics, and uncompromising attitude have made him a standout artist in the industry. From his early days in Long Beach to his rise to fame, Staples has shown an incredible talent and resilience that sets him apart from his peers. Whether he's dropping infectious beats or using his platform to address social issues, Vince Staples continues to captivate audiences with his authenticity and artistic prowess. As Vince Staples continues to navigate the realms of music, television, and beyond, his impact remains profound. He is a testament to resilience, creativity, and the power of staying true to one's roots. With each project, Vince pushes boundaries and challenges conventions, leaving an indelible mark on the entertainment industry. His journey from the streets of Long Beach to the heights of stardom is a story of triumph and transformation, and there is no doubt that Vince Staples will continue to astonish and inspire in the years to come.